Assalamu alaikum, guys. It's Zara here. This was the fourth episode of MissHeard. And today, me and Hafsa and I, we spoke about epigenetics. We spoke about all things epigenetics. We spoke about all things about the hijab, why it's important. We had the ultimate hijab conversation, so definitely tune in.
With my lack of energy, but it was there.
We had the ultimate hijab conversation, so definitely listen in to hear about how to overcome the struggles with hijab. And we spoke about loneliness. We had the honest conversation about loneliness and why we need to check up on those around us, and also check your inner circle. Definitely.
And we spoke about our personal experiences with it as well.
Yeah, personal experience with loneliness. So this is episode 4 of MissHeard. Enjoy.
Right, there we go.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you?
I'm good, Hafsa, but I'm going to need more energy than that, unfortunately.
Bro, I just left a lecture. You know, it's just, you know, you're going to have to give me a minute. Maybe by like 30 minutes in, I'll have my energy back again.
30 minutes in, right. So I'm doing 30 minutes of the podcast by myself.
I mean, I'll be present. The energy will be about 75 and then we, inshallah, slowly rising.
Right, so you're leaving me. You're leaving me. Come on, let's bring some energy.
All right, let's start talking about how has your lockdown been so far?
Oh, you know what? Loving it.
Really?
No. The thing is, went into uni the other day because I had to get a book. I had to try and find
the book.
That's the question. Was I allowed to get? So I tried to find the book. I believe, but for some reason, I don't know. I just ended up doing some work, sitting down, saw a couple of people, university people that I hadn't seen since February, which was lovely.
Yeah.
Do you ever find when you are you bump into someone, like someone, for example, you haven't seen since February because of lockdown, and you just don't want to be that generic person that's like, oh, how's lockdown? How's it going?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's nice. So you just try to be a little bit more exciting.
Yeah.
How are you getting over the small talk? That awkward. I've seen so many really like kind of funny clips where people are like, oh, so how's lockdown been? And they've just been like, oh yeah, absolutely great. Had a really nice little breakdown.
Oh, beautiful, lovely. We love that energy. To be honest, I haven't really seen people like that, so I haven't had that issue.
I'm struggling with the small talk.
I've only been to uni twice, sorry, and yeah, I didn't really see that many people, and the people that I did see, I'm like quite good friends with, so it wasn't that bad because we're talking about stuff that we've been talking about. You know what I mean? But I think it's just natural, you know. That's the generic thing that everybody's connecting with, just to be like, how's your lockdown going?
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, it's been alright. I think I'm starting to get into that like lethargic state where you're just like, like you're just not doing
very
anything.
Tired all the time.
Yeah, I'm trying to like
winter,
overcome it, but you know, it's just a bit long. You just like, I have so many things to do, you know. You've got your dissertation, you've got your essays, you've got your 3 essays you need to do. So it's just, why am I not focusing on my priorities? Why am I not focusing on my priorities, and why am I wasting time? You don't know why I'm wasting time. Please, someone tell me, do I not have commitments to attend to?
I know. I mean, do you think people are treating this lockdown as an actual lockdown?
I think no. I think the first time, I think it was partially fear and partially, like, I don't think people were staying indoors because they were abiding by the law. I think people were staying indoors because they were actually fearful of getting the virus, passing on to their family members. But I think now that people have gone out, you know, they've had their little eat out to help out, they've been out eating every single day, they've seen their friends, and nothing's happened to them or nothing's happened to their families, they're becoming that kind of, it's not that big of a deal state. So I think now, especially with young people, I think they're just not taking it as seriously this time. And I think
no one, I don't even think it's just young people. I just don't think people, I think
people are probably a bit over it at this point, which is, you know,
I mean, you don't really
understandable,
blame them, do you?
Yeah,
you don't really blame them.
What can you do? Do you think we're going to get a normal Ramadan?
That's a good question. Do I think we're going to get a normal Ramadan? I want to say yeah. Because do you really think that, okay, right, so obviously we live in London, so in the UK, like, Christmas is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
and obviously people are kind of saying it's really difficult, that we can't have a normal Christmas, and then obviously all the like us Muslims saying but we didn't have a normal Eid, and every religion, every single festivity has had to suffer in some way because they never got what, you know, for family time, you know, all these things are family time things, right? Eid, we didn't get a normal Eid this year, and I don't know if we're gonna let that happen again. I don't know, because it was really hard. Let that happen? What, we're gonna revolt? You know, like outside. No, but like obviously that's gonna be our second Eid without having our families around us. I don't know. I think we'll have a normal Eid. Because this time it's in April, isn't it? It's in April. Sometime around April is when Ramadan and Eid is going to happen. Yeah. And so I'm thinking maybe because it's going to happen around the time of Easter and everything, maybe it'll be a bit better. Maybe they'll have like better regulations for it. Because even now with like Diwali coming up and Christmas and everything. So God knows what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? That's true. Is it? Yeah, I think it is coming up. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that they're going to have to sort it out in some way. I've been hearing that people are like, oh, I'm like going to meet up with their families and everything, because apparently Boris is like going to be doing like this thing of like easing it on Christmas Day or something and New Year's. Yeah, there's like a lockdown. I mean, come on. For New Year's, you're going to let everyone have New Year's when we're in the situation we're in. I don't know. I mean, personally, we'll see what happens. Let's see about that, because he's in self-isolation himself right now. So because remember, did you see that thing about him with the MP? He was like near an MP or something who was tested positive, so now he has to self-isolate. But then if those kind of things happen on like that level, let alone what's happening on like a small level where everyone's meeting just casually, let alone socially distancing and everything, because I'm sure they have proper regulations and everything they have to follow, so it's all a bit mad. But it is what it is. Mushkila kabir. But yeah. So we actually, obviously we've got a bunch of messages and stuff, and people being like, you know, sending us things that they want us to really touch on. Yeah, some suggestions at MissHeard and stuff, which we loved. Yeah. We really, really loved. And for you guys listening, the stuff that you say that you want us to talk about is really, really nice, you know. And sometimes we don't even kind of think of those things. And then we look back at ourselves and think, you know what? That's actually something that we need to speak about. Yeah, I agree. Something really big and really, really interesting and definitely relevant in this specific time in society are girls talking to us, sisters messaging us saying, look, we have this struggle with hijab, right? Struggle with hijab, the hijab, right? The hijab conversation. Yeah. Me and Hafsa and I are going to try our best to work on that and talk a little bit about that. I mean, you're happy with that, right, Hafsa? Yeah. I mean, I was just looking at me like, are you sure? I mean, it's a touchy. It is a very sensitive subject. Obviously, we'll try our best in the way that we know, inshallah, to benefit you guys. But obviously, this is and the thing is, we're in a time right now where people are kind of doing the opposite, right? Yeah. Like we've got, you know, kind of influential people, you could say. I don't know how to word this, like a big following, and have said that they're really struggling and stuff. And what's your kind of take when it comes to how you overcome a day, like you have a bad day with hijab? And let's be real, we have bad days when it comes to the hijab, and that's something that we can't shy away from. What do you mean by bad days? With a bad day with the hijab, we talk about kind of a day where maybe you're not, you know, feeling it, and that happens, because that happens with anything, you know, like you're dressing, you're like a abaya, or you know, you want to wear a different abaya or something, like you're not feeling your look, your appearance and stuff, and it happens. Especially when it comes to hijab. So when you have a day like that where you're like, oh, you know, I'm not really feeling myself, like how do you overcome those kind of emotions and feelings? Like what is your thought process? I would say, to be honest, when it came, because this is something that I feel like when you're younger and you like first start, you know, wearing your hijab, you know, as you go into high school and things like that, I think that's the time where
It's about at that point for us to solidify like why we're wearing it, because I think that's what helps. Like, it's like a prevention is better than cure thing. So I think at every point everyone's iman is going to go up and down, but I think when it comes to the hijab, the best thing is to start studying about why you're wearing the hijab and the benefits of hijab, because a lot of the time, especially when I was growing up in hijab, my whole perspective on it is you wear it to protect yourself from men, you wear it to protect yourself, from all these kind of things. But I think if you remember that the reason why you're wearing your hijab is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that will help you in and of itself to be able to carry out the act, because you want to do something that's pleasing to Allah. So I think that's where like building your foundations of why you're wearing it and finding out your why, so that when you get into a point where you're like, oh, do you know what, like this is just feeling a bit long, or whatever feeling it is that you have, you can remember that why. You can remember that why and be like, okay, this is why I'm wearing my hijab. This is why it's important to me. And that puts everything into perspective without you having to even consider all the other things that are around you. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I try my best to like change it up as much as I can. So even this year, I've made such a conscious effort to try and invest money into the clothing that I'm going to be wearing outside. You're outside the most of the day. So what kind of styles do you like? What kind of colors do you like? Investing into different ways that you're going to have your hijab, because it is to a point where before you wore your hijab, maybe you might have thought, I don't know, whatever, when you're younger and things like that, you have different ways of like styling your little dresses. Maybe your mum might put a bow in your hair, like when you're a little girl. Like there's different formats of... Which
makes you feel confident.
So
you now need to find a way to feel confident when you wear the hijab,
yeah,
right?
100%. I agree. Like maybe for some people, they might not like black. They might not like darker colors. So if you're like a person who likes colorful colors, maybe you can wear like some rose hijab or whatever.
Definitely.
Whatever
there's
colors.
There's ways of styling it to make yourself feel comfortable.
Yeah, make yourself feel comfortable.
So obviously a girl, if we're talking to a sister who is maybe trying to put the hijab on now, when you're at that stage where you are contemplating moving into that step, so we're talking about sisters who maybe didn't grow up wearing it, for example, they have a lot of questions, right? It's that curiosity thing. Why do they have questions? Because this is a huge step and they want to know, like anything you do in life, when you make a big decision, you want to make sure you've got all your questions answered, right? And that's something that a lot of sisters go through. They have a lot of questions, they're thinking about it. So I kind of wanted to give like a bit of a step-by-step into how a sister who's looking to wear hijab can maybe overcome and make that decision. So one thing I've noticed is that you need to be able to set a realistic goal. That's number one. Set a realistic expectation for yourself. So for example, and I know you've probably heard this before from any of sisters around you that want to wear hijab, and it's really common that people say, and we're not saying that it's wrong, we just want to try and find a way to overcome this. So it's saying, you know what, if I came to you, Hafsa, I said, you know what, like I'm gonna wear the hijab, I'm gonna wear it, but let me just wait until I got married. Let me just wait until I got married and I got kids. Now, what's the issue there, right? It's based on a bit of wishful thinking. And also this idea of, is tomorrow promised, which we know that it's not.
100%.
So when you say, excuse me, I'm going to wait until I get married. I'm going to wait until I get married. I'm going to wait until I have kids. And then I'm going to wait until I'm a role model to those kids. And then I'll put it on, right? Now, I think my kind of take on that would be, it's a bit based on wishful thinking, because we are then saying that inshallah we're going to get married and inshallah we're going to have kids, and that is what we're going to base the decision on, a personal decision on, right? And we need to look at, first of all, the fact that kind of tomorrow isn't promised. It's something I reinstate, and I'm going to say quite a bit because it's really something that I'm going to try and get stuck in your heads, those who are listening. And Hafsa, of course, which you remind me of so frequently as well. But you have basically convinced yourself that what you're saying, kind of like, I'm going to do it in a later time, is a decisive thing. When if you flip it, really, aren't we just delaying the time in which we have to actually make the decision? Yeah. So we're not saying, we're not saying that, oh, we've made a decision, because we haven't made the decision, because we haven't taken that step to do the action. We are actually delaying the decision process to a time in our life where we're going to feel, you know what, we're settled, we're married, we have our children, inshallah, then I'm going to put the hijab on, when we don't know what could happen at that time, right? So that's the first thing. And the second thing I wanted to say is that naturally, if you want to start wearing hijab, it's not that you're going to become a different person and that you have to change, you know, your personality, because, you know, mashallah, you can still, how many sisters do we know that wear hijab who are very, very modest in their ways and are the most, you know, loudest and funny and charismatic people, you know, like even yourself, Hafsa, like you, yeah, like you, I mean, I consider you to be someone who's so charismatic, so funny, so, you know, makes people laugh, makes people smile, and everything, mashallah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Cheers. No, but honestly, like I see that in the way, but I'm really, really scared that girls who want to wear hijab have this notion of, I have to now become boring.
It's really not the case. I think that at the end of the day, having a personality does not change just by putting on the hijab. And we have to remember that the hijab is something that is even a blessing in and of itself. You have to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves all of us. You know, he loves the Muslims. And so I think that when it comes to that aspect, remember that the reason he's telling us to wear our hijab is not out of, you know, spite or anything like negative. It's out of something positive. It's because Allah loves us that much that he's telling us to do that. And so what I remember reflecting on why I'm wearing the hijab and trying to really find my own why of why I'm wearing the hijab. And it came to the point where I said to myself, do you know what? If you think about it, wearing a hijab every single day you go out, and I think we've spoken about this before as well, just between us in a separate conversation, but I think every time that you're going outside of your house, even if you have the most blasé day, you know, maybe you had a super busy day, a hectic day, you haven't had time to sit down and read some Quran, you've prayed your prayers and things like that, you've done the fundamental things that you need to do, but the hijab that you're wearing is going to be reward for you wherever you go just by wearing your hijab, because it's a representation of you as a Muslim. And so everything you're doing, you know, whether you're being kind to somebody and you give that intention, you know, I'm wearing my hijab to show what a Muslim is supposed to be like, you know, for whatever good deed that you've done to a person or whatever person you showed Islam to, that is a reward in and of itself just by you wearing your hijab. Every single day you have that racking on your scales to give you a good deed. So it's something where you need to remember that it's a good thing. It's a blessing in itself. It's not something that is harsh on you. It's rather something that is going to benefit you in this dunya and in the akhirah, because it's going to give you that reward for wearing the hijab. We do it for the sake of Allah. And so that's one thing. And another thing is that you need to remember that, you know, as a Muslim, you can still have a personality. As a Muslim, you can still do everything that it is that you want to do. And rather, whilst doing that, whilst wearing a hijab, then each form of what you're doing is going to be da'wah. Because we speak about going into different spaces, for example, going into surgery, maybe you're wearing a hijab, maybe you get disposable sleeves, whatever it is, and somebody's asking you about why you're doing that. And you know, they want more information, and maybe somebody's asking you about how you do that thing when it comes to your hijab. But each one of those questions is going to be a form of da'wah, because now it sparked a form of conversation. So you wearing your hijab on a day-to-day basis and navigating, you know, your normal day is going to be a form of da'wah. It's going to be a form of reward for yourself. So I wouldn't think of it as something negative. I think of it as something positive that you can benefit from every day of your life. And so, yeah, that's why I would just say that hijab is a good thing, and it's something that I would recommend everybody to do.
To look into.
Yeah, to look into,
well, for someone that isn't wearing the hijab as well. I think one thing I do want to say is that, think of it this way as well. We live in a time and a society where the hijab is saying it's a dehumanizing thing. That's what people think it is, right? People have this notion, this idea that hijab is there to dehumanize Muslim women. It's there to oppress us, etc. Obviously, at this point, it's really good to always seek knowledge, and to maybe do a lot of research is really important. However, if you think about it this way, and it's a really good analogy to think of, which also I remember my brother explaining to me as well, that you go out into the world, and And what maybe tempts us is maybe the appearances of other girls who maybe don't wear hijab, and you say, wow, mashallah, they look amazing, they look beautiful, they, you know, I wish, and then that's where the thinking comes from. They look so good because they don't wear hijab, right? Their hair is out, they look great. Now, society, and if you guys are kind of warped in the world of social media, you'll see left, right, and how can you escape it? You know, left, right, and center, we're being bombarded by this idea of beauty being nowadays beauty is lack of modesty, right? We can all agree there's some element to beauty, and what society has defined beauty as is being, look, it's not a very modest look. So then, if you take that notion of society has created this definition of beauty to be something that is really against maybe what we believe in as Muslims, right? Our morals and what we've been commanded by Allah. And then you put on the hijab, then aren't you technically breaking out of society's definition of beauty? You know, you're saying, you know what, I don't want to adhere to what society thinks is beautiful. I'm gonna stand for what I know is beautiful, and what I know is beautiful is hijab and is being immodest. And you are breaking free of the shackles that society holds us within, and society holds us not even in beauty standards definitions. Society holds us in shackles in so many different ways in our day-to-day life. What car we have, what, you know, the materialistic things in life. Society has said you have to do things a certain way. Now, like the hijab, you are basically saying to society, I don't want to adhere to what your standards are. You know, I'm better than that. I'm bigger than that. And that's the way you've got to see it. So what does that mean? Hijab is actually freedom. Hijab is absolute freedom, because you know what, like Hafsa sitting in front of me right now, you are choosing how you want people to see you. How amazing is that? Like, you are choosing how you want people to see you. You are saying, you know what, I don't want the world to see my hair or to see the shape of my body, and I choose to dress the way I do, modestly, loose clothing, etc., because I want to define what you see of me, and I want to choose who, you know, and that's really, really nice if you think about it that way.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that each person who chooses to wear hijab, like you've explained all these different reasons why you're wearing it, is something that needs to be personal to you and something that you need to reflect on, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to keep that consistency with it. Because if you have every other reason that you're wearing it, let's say you're wearing it for your kids, you're wearing it for your husband, you're wearing it for your friends, you're wearing it for whoever around you, none of those things are guaranteed to be constant. Any of those people can pass away, any of those people you can become detached to. And the only thing that is constant is the fact that you have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if that's the person that if that's what the reason why you're wearing it, then that is the only thing that can be constant. And so that's making it more likely that you'll be able to stay consistent with your hijab, because you're doing it for the sake of Allah, and you're doing it because you want that love of Allah, you want that reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I think that's why it's like being like to yourself and having those reasons that are surrounding by the basics of why you're wearing it in Islam is what will allow you to remain constant with it. So yeah, I think, yes, in some ways, yeah, it is a struggle. And in the society that we live in, when social media is so, you know,
powerful,
so powerful and so in your face, and something that everybody has, then if that's something that you struggle with and you go onto social media and those are the things that you get tempted by, delete those pages, delete those things. Don't follow those people if that's something that you feel like is struggling from you. Follow people who are wearing, you know, maybe like a company that sells abayas and hijabs that you really, really like. Follow those pages so that you can find different ways to style your hijab. You know, learn from people who are going to benefit you rather than the people that are going to tempt you the wrong way. So if that's something that you're struggling with, maybe review what's on your social media, review the friends that you have around you, filter everything around you, because those are the things that you're interacting with on a daily basis, and those are the things that's going to influence you the most. So try and get the influences around you to be as positive as possible. Try to surround yourself by people who are also wearing your hijab. You know, try to make sure that your surroundings, if that's what's affecting you, make sure that those are surroundings that are going to benefit you. Definitely. And it even taps into that conversation that we had last week about, you know, your friendship and the importance of the friendship around you, because it is something which, without you even realizing, will influence you. Sometimes, for example, let's say my sister says like a random word. We, in my family and my siblings, we're so used to like creating random words. So let's say my sister says a random word for bottle and she starts calling it the tall plastic thing. And as she says it all the time, I'm more likely to pick that up because she's in my surroundings subconsciously without even thinking about it. So it's the same way when it comes to your friends and it comes to the people that are surrounding you, it comes to your social media. Without you might think you're this strong person and nothing can affect you, but without you even realizing, those influences around you are going to affect you and mold you.
Yeah.
So I would say definitely try to filter those things out. It's like really important for you to just stay more steadfast and focused on your hijab.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
I think that's a really interesting point as well. So your friends are definitely really important when it comes to this. And adding to what you just said about the friendship thing, is that if you know anyone who is struggling with hijab, who wears hijab and they're struggling with it, a really good tip, which I think needs to be kind of memorized for all walks of life, in all aspects of our life, is the fact that don't negate what someone is feeling. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. So for example, Hafsa comes to me, she explains her kind of problems or her struggle at the moment with hijab. She's saying, you know what, Zara, I'm having a bit of a tough day, etc. I don't know how I feel. Don't negate what that person is saying. So don't say you need to snap out of it and you need to just I think saying that will make the person feel alone, right? And that person will feel like, you know what, no one really understands, no one really, and when I do talk about it, it will now become a taboo thing. Let's not talk about if we're struggling with something, which we can't have, right? We can't have everyone just being silent now and 100%. Not talking about what they're struggling with. So if you have got a friend who is struggling with something, anything to do with their deen, doesn't even have to be hijab, if they're feeling like they're not on top of their game in so many different ways, the first thing to do is to be like, you know what, sis, I actually get where you're coming from. I had that day just the other day, and you know what, how I overcame it, except like, you know, and then explain how you overcame it. Do it that way, and you'll realize that person will come to you and they will talk to you and they'll be more open and you will become more approachable. So try not to cut that person off and because obviously deen, again, is a very, very strong thing in our lives. It is our purpose, our foundation. You know, being Muslim affects us in everything that we do. And we need to encourage people and make them feel confident in their religion. And the one big way you're going to do that is by being relatable and saying to them, look, I have my struggles too. Like, I have my struggles too, and that's okay. And also, again, we've got to remember this, you know, ayah, which I think we both kind of have stuck in our heads as well, and very relevant to the conversation, is, do the people think that they will be, let go merely by saying we believe, and that they will not be tested? So when you wear hijab, you're saying you believe, right? That's a big, big statement of you saying, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I believe in his messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the malaika, and the last day, right? We believe in all of this. And that is a statement because you're doing something which Allah has commanded of you. So now you're wearing the hijab, you will find your test, okay? And this may be with certain family members, maybe they don't agree, you know, but just also remember that if you've done something for Allah, Allah will give you so much.
100%. I'm going to probably quote this completely wrong, but I think it's, if you give up something for the sake of Allah, then Allah will replace it with something better for you. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I think when it comes to one of those things, I would say if it's something that you're, you know, struggling with, I would say to always just start. It's one of those things where, even when it comes to like people who speak about, you know, you'll hear the advice on people who speak about struggling with their salah, and they'll be like, just start your salah, you know, even if it's one salah, start with that, continue, and then work your way up. Because if you get to a point where you're just not doing it at all, then that is when you're just going to remain stagnant, and shaitan is going to be able to, you know, say what's worse, whatever. But if you're trying to try your best and start wearing the hijab, and then make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for you, and then find different ways to do it and navigate it in that way. So yeah, like Zara said, it's about that test of what on that thing that you've done for the sake of Allah, and Allah is testing you to make sure that you're sincere in your actions. So it is a journey, but you know, inshallah, may Allah make it easy for you. Literally, we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. and it's something that, you know, you have a struggle, it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
And the best thing you could do is to talk to your sisters about it. Definitely say, you know, what did you do when you felt this way? And if someone says, you know what, I've never felt something like that, please believe that, you know, that they're not you know, maybe they haven't, and that's an amazing thing if they haven't, but most cases they have.
Like, you're not alone in that situation. I think a lot of people struggle with different things in their life, but it's just about you trying your hardest and always pairing that with dua, always praying it with dua to Allah, because that is the person that is how you're going to get your help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So yeah, I would say do that.
And I think that leads us really nicely onto, because we were talking about the friendship thing, right? And also if you don't kind of listen to each other, again, that person, like I said before, is going to feel really alone. They're going to feel like they're the only person in this world who has this problem, because when they go to other people and speak about their problem, they're not really you know, getting the answers that they want, or they feel like, oh, you know, I explained this problem to my sister and she said that I need to kind of just get out, or like snap out of it, and that nobody really goes through that, etc. And no, I haven't had a day like that. And when you say things like that, of course it's going to make that person who's going through that struggle feel, you know what, okay, so then I am the only person in this world who feels this way, which is never the case. And you feel alone. And how many times have we been in a room surrounded by our friends, surrounded by our family? It could be the loudest room, children running around us, you know, like if you have a big family, then you'll know what I'm talking about, and you feel so alone.
100%.
Have you ever had that experience where you're in a room full of people, full of noise, and you just feel like you're the only person there? Yeah,
because I think when it comes to loneliness, I think a lot of people think of, like, you know, you have no family members, no friends, you have no job, you have nothing going for you, and then that's when you start to feel lonely. But it is very, very common for somebody to be surrounded by people and likewise in the peak of their life, and likewise feel lonely. So I think it's one of those things where if it is something that you're experiencing, you're definitely not alone. I think that the likelihood is that the majority, if not everybody, will experience that feeling at some point in their lives. And so it's a common feeling. It's a natural feeling. It's a normal feeling. But it's about you know, accepting that, and accepting that it's okay to feel like that. Because society will sometimes make you feel like you're indifferent, or I don't even think I used that right. No, I don't think I did. But basically, society will make you feel like you're the only one who's struggling with that, and that loneliness is something that's completely, you know, like uncommon. But it really is. I just want to stress the fact that it really is a common thing that most people experience. It's more common than we think.
100%. You could be sitting next to someone on the train, on any kind of forms of transport. You could be walking, go past someone, and the thoughts that could be running through their heads, and feeling really alone, you know, you just don't know. You don't know what people are going through. And
some people are very good at masking it as well. You will see the cheeriest person down your university hallways, or maybe that person's at your workplace, and they might seem like they're super on it with their mental health, but they might be the ones going home and crying themselves to sleep and being completely alone. And it is something that I think everyone will experience. And I think that's why on a day-to-day basis, just ask your friends and family how they are, ask people how they are on a really serious note. And I remember when I was learning about speaking to people and trying to basically build bonds with the people around you in your families, and the teacher mentioned that essentially when you're asking somebody how they are, don't just stop at how are you, and the person just says alhamdulillah, I'm okay, and then you just continue with your conversation. Because some people need a little extra push. They need you to ask them, you know, how's work, how's your family, how's your mom, how's your dad, how's your siblings, how's your friends, how's, you know, that new job that you started, how is that going, that project that you're starting, how, you know, the last time we spoke, I know you wanted to do that. Try and delve into the conversation a bit deeper, because you might be just talking, and then you just say that one thing that hits the right, you know, that right nerve, connection, that right nerve in their brain, and then now they come out with all these things that they've been struggling with. So really try to check up on your friends, check up on your family members. So if you're that person who's not feeling that loneliness, maybe go around and just make sure that the people around you are feeling okay. But I think loneliness is a really, really kind of hot topic, and it's something that we need to speak about, because as Muslims, we, like you said, society makes us feel quite indifferent.
this is why we need to have an honest kind of conversation about loneliness, because Muslims face this quite heavily, in the sense that, you know, and especially in a time like this where everything's very generic, you know, everything's very kind of, you know, it doesn't really, maybe we feel sometimes that with Islam we do feel very kind of like a stranger, but isn't that the point, right? You know,
glad tidings to the stranger.
Glad tidings to the stranger. We are strangers in this world. We treat this as kind of a path which we will, our end destination is the akhirah, and inshallah that's what we have to view it as, and we have to accept the fact that we're strangers in this world. But again, with the loneliness, I really agree with what you're saying. Like, have those open-ended questions, and you might feel like, oh, you know what, I just don't have time to ask someone how they are. Like, I really just want to pass by them and just say, you're right, okay, cool, lovely, you know, move on. But you take that time out of, you know, 5 minutes maybe you take out of your day, and the person that you've spoken to feels so relieved because they've just told someone and they've got it off their chest, you know. And you could, even if you are in a rush, be like, you know what, I can see you're going through a lot, let me just, you know, message me and I can call you tonight and we can speak properly, you know. And, like, don't make them feel like they've just offloaded to you and you're now going to go about your day and they feel a bit like, oh, I wish I kind of didn't tell them because they didn't do anything about it. If you are in a rush, ask that person still, oh, how are you, how is things, get to the root of, you know, are they really okay? If they're not, say, you know what, I'm in a bit of a, you know, a situation right now, I have to go, but call me, like, message me tonight, let's speak. And then, you know, you have all that time in the evening to then speak to that person, try and help them through what they're going through.
100%. I agree, because when it comes to the loneliness aspect as well, and how we were speaking about how some people are just very good at hiding it, I think it's one of those situations where that person might not even tell you in that situation. They might not tell you, they might just say, you know, alhamdulillah, I'm okay, and just move on. But it's up to you as that person's friend to try and, like, get it out of them and see if they're okay. Notice people's behavior differences. There's so many aspects to trying to be a good friend and trying to fulfill the rights of that person. So when it comes to just in general, maybe that person, just observe the changes of your friends. Make sure, you know, usually Zara's, you know, not late to things. You know, today she started being late, you know, she started coming late to university. She's never skipped a lecture before. Now she's starting to skip lectures. Observe, like, notice these behaviors and really, you know, investigate them, because maybe that person is struggling with something that they may not be able to verbally say to you, but you should be able to notice from the way that person's acting. Have they changed their behaviors towards you, towards teachers, towards friends, towards family, towards their work, towards their university, towards their priorities? Have they changed in any way? Observe these things. Make sure that you're an observant person, because it's one of those things where it may not ever verbally come to you, but you need to investigate it and then be like, do you know what, I noticed, Zara, you know, you started skipping your lectures. That's not like you. Like, what's going on? Speak to me. Because that person might be struggling with something they just don't feel comfortable sharing, but you need to just make sure that they're okay at the very least. You might not ever find out what that thing was, but just being there for that person in a way that you can be will definitely be useful to that person. And I think, you know, like, even on a personal level, I think one of the experiences that I had of just feeling like lonely or alone is that I, alhamdulillah, have amazing friends. I have amazing family members, and they all, you know, are very dear to me, and they're all very, very good friends and very, very good family members. They're always checking up on you. So even on that level, I was like, okay, do you know what? I have all these things to be grateful for. But for me, it was an aspect of, I just got into a very repetitive schedule. So for me, I was getting up in the morning, you know, getting up early, going to lectures. After the lectures, I was going to have lunch, you know, went to the prayer room, went back home. You know, I was extremely tired. I didn't really spend time with my family when I got home from uni. I was just so exhausted, went to sleep. The next day, got up, did the same thing. And I didn't get a day off because I went Monday to Friday uni and lectures and placement. Saturday I worked, and then Sunday I had Arabic school. So I never had a day off to myself. I had never had a day to just recharge. And so I got to a point where I was doing everything alone, because even though I was going to work by myself. I was traveling home by myself. I was going to Arabic by myself, traveling home from Arabic by myself, going to uni, studying by myself. I would spend all day in silent studying. And so I was so focused on my academics. I'm not conversating with anyone the whole day. And that is, if you deep it, like imagine going weeks on end without having a real conversation with people. I was speaking to everyone on text. So I was like, why do I feel like this? Why do I feel like I'm so lonely and by myself?
Even though you're extremely busy.
Even though I'm extremely busy, and I'm literally conversing with my friends on the bus and just speaking to each other. But it's having that like human interaction, just sitting down, having tea with someone, speaking to my mum, speaking to my sisters. I wasn't talking to no one in real life. I was literally doing everything by myself. And so it came to a point where I just had such a repetitive, stressful, packed schedule, and I didn't have time to do the basic things like, you know, I always used to do face masks. I used to do deep conditioning for my hair. I used to just live my best life, self-care. And even when it came to things like, I had to do some stuff basically for uni. Even when it came to that, I had to tackle that, and I just didn't do it for so long. There were so many priorities that I had to attend to, and I just didn't do them because I was so wrapped up in this feeling. So yeah, it was very abnormal for me, because usually I'm on job with everything that I do, but I just wasn't at that point. So I think that was something that I found weird for me, because I was like, okay, why am I not being organized? Why am I not being, you know, how I usually am? So I just felt alone in everything that I was experiencing, even though I was having conversations every day on WhatsApp or whatever it was. And even though I was speaking to people every single day, I still felt alone. So I think that's something where it's that same aspect we were speaking about, that you can be surrounded by people yet still feel alone.
I think I had a conversation. So I had a conversation with a sister this week, and it really sparked something in my mind that I've never really known before. And that is, not that I don't know, but something that I just hadn't really thought about in a while.
Yeah.
That is when, as Muslims, you have friends who you feel just aren't of benefit to you. And it's really hard to come to that realization, because they're your friend, you know, like they're your friend, and maybe you've known them for a really long time. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, where there's someone in your life, like a friend that you just think, you know what, you're just not of benefit to me. And how do you first recognize that, and how do you then put that across, and then how do you then deal with it, right? So by not benefiting you, I mean as in, when you're in their company, you don't really feel like, you know, like we don't talk about Allah enough, like we don't really, we're not reminding each other enough. Or maybe they have some bad habits, who knows, that they have some bad habits, and then if you don't, like, aren't part of that bad habit, it's a bit like you're very different. You know what, I can't be with these people. When I'm with them, I feel quite isolated. I feel like my goals are different to theirs, all these things, right? So when you, and that's interesting, because this sister was telling me, I have a lot of like friends. She's got a lot of friends. She really, really is a sociable, kind of outgoing person. But when she is with them, it just doesn't align, you know? And she said, how do I break free of my friends? Like, you know, people that, you know, they know me, and and I kind of had to explain to her, but do they know you now? No, are they knowing the person that you're evolving into? Yes, they know you. You know, maybe they know who you were before, right? But you're evolving now. You're changing. You're realizing things. You're growing. You're maturing into a different kind of woman. And with that, some people don't understand that evolution, right? There's some people don't understand it, and you can't fault them on that. But you also have to look out for yourself, and you have to think, right, I'm adapting, I'm changing, I have this goal in my head. I want to try and do every single walk of life that I take, everything. I just always want to please Allah in what I do, you know, everything I do. And that includes who I surround myself with. So now you're in this situation where you're like, okay, but how do I, you know, and I say, anyone that's in that position right now, take this lockdown then as a blessing, okay? Take it as, I'm going to step away. I'm going to kind of, you know, have time to myself, realize ways, and also maybe have an honest conversation with that friend. Be like, you know, this is actually what this is kind of the path I want to take, you know, like, this is what I want to now do. I kind of want to base everything around, which obviously we always should anyways, but some people maybe come to that realization a little bit later that, you know, I kind of want to just be a bit more grounded. I want to follow certain things. I want to change my appearance, you know, maybe, and see how they react. That's a really good test. See how they react, see whether they, you know, they're supportive, because you can't also go through different, and this is really important, you can't go through a lot in life without, you know, supportive people, right? As humans, we need support. We need people to kind of, you know, hype us and say, yeah, you know, like that's really amazing. Really, really look inwards, look at your inner circle. Are they benefiting you? Do you talk about Allah? Do you remind each other of the good things? You know, are you striving towards similar goals? Really look kind of inwards and at yourself and at your inner circle.
Yeah, I completely agree, because it comes back to what we were mentioning earlier, is that your inner circle of people and your inner circle of friends will influence you without you even noticing. And it's those people that are going to uplift you. It's those people that are going to, in your times of need, come to you. So what is the advice that you want to hear? Do you want to hear advice from somebody that you would value their advice from? So, for example, if there's somebody who has a similar perspective to you on your hijab, and you know, it's something that both of you want to strive to accomplish, and something, even when it comes to your Quran or whatever it is, something that both of you are focusing on, you know, we're here to try and gain reward and do things to benefit our akhirah. So are you both on that same mindset, so that when you fall short in something, or when you need advice on something, you have somebody there to help you, to guide you, to give you good advice, to remind you of Allah, to remind you of, you know, why you should be doing that good thing. So yeah, I completely agree. It's very, very important to solidify those circles solidify your inner circle, and make sure that it's people that uplift you and make you happy.
Because we want to see our friends in Jannah, right?
Yeah, like, literally.
You want to be saying cool to them.
Yeah.
In Jannah, like you want that. Like the friends that you don't want to. And it's really interesting, because again, you can feel alone with these people. You can feel really, really alone if you have friends that maybe you're not on the same kind of wavelength as them. And if once you're on the same wavelength as people, there's more scope, there's more things, like alhamdulillah, we have our friendship, and we know that because we're on a similar kind of wavelength and path, that we were then able to escalate that and bring it a platform, like open up a platform like MissHeard, but we're doing it together, because we kind of, you know, get each other, and you enjoy that person's company a lot more, because you know that you're in kind of a right environment. So make sure, and don't be afraid, like that's another thing, don't be afraid to be like, you know what, this just isn't benefiting me, because you will be kind of alone. You have to answer to Allah. So realize this isn't benefiting me. Same with the hijab. If you're someone who's like, you know what, I want to do it, but I'm scared of the change. I'm scared of what people are going to think. I'm scared of what my neighbors are going to think. I'm scared of what university friends are going to think. I'm scared of all of these things. Just be like, but it's going to benefit me, and it's got so much blessing in it. And you know what? I want that. Like, I want to chase those blessings. I want that reward. I don't want no one else to have it. Like, I want that. So when you put it that way, you then end up doing that thing because you think, yeah, like this is for me. This is my thing.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I agree. I have nothing more to add to that. Alhamdulillah. I think you covered it all.
Yeah, you really have to do what is best for you. And look, if there's someone that doesn't disagree with what you're doing, however, what you're doing is right, you have to have an honest conversation with that person. I've heard a lot of stories. Have you heard a lot of stories about how when you want to do something for the better, but you have someone like your mother, like your mum or a parent being like, you know what, I don't agree with that.
Yeah. Because it's that thing of like when people start mixing their culture with their Islam, and they're like, that's not necessary, even though you know that it is. And so people struggle to have those conversations. Why are you bringing this
new religion into my house?
Yeah, people struggle to have those conversations, because then it's like it's a respect boundary, and then it's an also like, I know I do need to do this thing. So you have to have those honest conversations without disrespecting that person because they're older than you, or they're like a family member that you need to respect, or even just generally you're supposed to respect your friends and everyone anyway.
Yeah, of course.
So we want to have a respectful conversation, but at the same time you're telling that person that you won't be listening to the advice that they're giving you because you know that it's not the right thing to do. So it is a struggle, and I think it's something that a lot of people do deal with, because a lot of people do have family members or friends or whoever it is that are mixing culture, whether that be modern culture or whether that be, you know, your actual country's culture, and mixing those concepts with Islam, which is not how it's supposed to be. So yeah, I think 100%, I think I agree.
It's that idea, isn't it? Is that idea of new religion, like you people, when the older generations, perhaps you guys have parents who take a more traditional viewpoint with the way that they choose to kind of live their life, that traditional lifestyle, and you are thinking to yourself, you know what, I actually know that this isn't kind of Islamic, and you've done your research, you've kind of I want to say the password for seek, like you seek knowledge, sought. It is.
Sought. Yeah.
You saw. Oh gosh, this is terrible. You saw.
I was like, what are you asking?
No,
me?
I'm like, it is sought knowledge. Yeah. Sorry, guys. The sought knowledge.
It sounds wrong, but I think it's right.
It is. All right, cool. We'll open up the floor to that afterwards. So you sought knowledge. I'm going to go with that. You've sought knowledge, and you know that kind of what you're practicing is the right thing to do, but your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents have a different viewpoint. They've been brought up a different way, very, very common kind of situation, and they feel like you are bringing a new religion into the house, and really and truly you're just bringing maybe the Islamic foundation to things. And if you've been in that situation, how do you tackle that? Because like you're saying, you have to respect you have to respect your parents. You have to respect what their viewpoints are, how they've been raised, the fact that they don't know different to what they've been taught. And we have been in a position where we can make a lot of decisions for ourselves. How amazing is it that we can research and do and form our own opinion and judgment, which maybe they didn't get to do, and they had to follow a certain belief system or cultural expectations they had that we probably don't have. And how do you overcome that? Because you have to be really respectful in your conversation.
Yeah, I think just keep the conversation respectful. Maybe even try to explain to them, because maybe it's one of those things where maybe they don't know about the, you know, the true Islamic guidance behind it. So maybe if you just try your best to explain, you know, this is what Islam says, you know, this is why you might think that because of this culture and that cultural aspect. The reality is X, Y, and Z. So I feel like it's on a personal level. Everybody knows what their parents are like. Maybe your parents might think, what is this person bringing? You know, what are they trying to show me? Do they think they know more than me? Or like, you know what your parents are like. You know what the person that you're speaking to is like. And so it's definitely a personal approach. Try to tap into the way that you know that they would respond better to, because maybe what's right for one person might be a completely massive outroar and upbreak in another family. So I think always just keep it respectful. Never try and disrespect that person, but at the same time try your best to explain to them why you want to take that step and what Islam says about that step, and maybe try to educate that person, and maybe they'll understand your perspective a bit more
through action. Really show through action, because sometimes words isn't you know, maybe not that effective. And I'm reading that while I'm reading, the weight of your actions are heavier than behind you. No, but yeah, definitely try to show them in the best way and show them the benefits of what you're trying to do. So yeah, I mean, if you have cultural parents and you have people, or even people in your life who take a different view, who maybe just don't understand things the way that you do, try not to patronize obviously them and what they believe in, and saying, you know, you don't know the true, you know, kind of deen and all that and stuff, because what they've been taught is what they've been taught. And yes, it might have a cultural element to it. Obviously try your best to refrain from the cultural aspects that do go against Islamic kind of Islamic principles, but that's the best way to do it. Remain respectful always in those kind of conversations.
100%. I agree. I completely agree.
What are you up to tomorrow, Hafsa?
What am I up to tomorrow? I'm literally
I said that
another
so
lockdown.
Aggressive. I am so sorry. That came across
It's
really
fine.
aggressive.
If anything, it's because I literally have a lack of energy at the moment, because I'm literally just like dying.
I can tell.
Because I've gone like from that lecture and I'm just like exhausted from that whole thing, and then now we're doing like over an hour of speaking, so I'm just like trying to stay energized.
Are you saying you don't like doing MissHeard with me?
Not at all. If anything, I'm saying that I would prefer to. But what can you do? Uni calls, you know, you have your things that you need to do. You need to studying calls, education calls. But yeah, it's another day in lockdown, to be honest. Tomorrow I'm literally going to be doing exactly what I do every other day, hoping to study, trying my best to get something done, possibly not getting anything done, and then, you know, talking to my friends about how none of us have got anything done. But
love it. I love that
it's just a great routine.
That's a really
but I'm trying my
routine.
best to get out of this zone that I'm in, because you know how I was explaining, like literally I'm wasting so much time, and I think I should just try my best to get on my revision, because I just know I have so many lectures to catch up on, and I know I have assignments waiting for me, and I know I have priorities to attend to, and I'm just, I don't know, I can't shake this feeling. Like, you know, when you're just in a rut where you're just like, you're not doing anything and you're just wasting a lot of time.
You're in a rut right now.
Yeah, but I think I will hopefully get out of it at some point and start trying to actually revise. I think a
lot of us have found ourselves in that rut.
Yeah.
I think especially these days where you're halfway through the lockdown. I remember this being the case when I was halfway through the first lockdown.
Yeah.
You know, I was really, you know, trying my best to keep up with home workouts and everything.
Yeah.
And the first week, absolutely amazing, you know, just very good. Come third week, I'm literally sitting there with, you know, a whole box of, like, do you know the 12 bites, like the massive packet of, like,
what's a 12 bite?
You know the 12 bite, the little mini 12s.
What's a 12?
You know the 12s, you know the chocolate.
Oh, I thought you were saying 12, like the number 12. I was like, what is a 12
No,
bite?
you know the 12. The
A
chocolate.
12,
Yeah,
a 12
and
bite.
you-
Yep. So you just
sitting there,
munch a bunch of
indulging.
chocolates.
After I
It's like that peak, and then it's just a crash down and a descend back into madness. You're just eating worse than you did at the beginning. But I completely agree. But mine is kind of the opposite now. I feel like I started off with a bit of a blasé, don't really know what I'm doing start, but I think now, from like yesterday, I think I'm starting to get back into a routine of like, I need to, because you know the deadlines are calling, so I don't really have a choice. So yeah, I think now I'm probably going to hopefully, inshallah, have a more productive week, get back into the workouts, back into the healthy eating. I started trying intermittent fasting from today.
that was a big highlight of my first lockdown, actually.
You tried intermittent fasting?
I did try it. It was good. So obviously it's that concept, if anyone doesn't know, where you eat you have a window of eating and you have a window of not eating. So
that was a beautiful explanation.
Absolutely stunning explanation.
You don't eat and then you eat.
You don't eat and then you eat.
Perfect. You've explained it all. They need no further knowledge.
Yeah, that was absolutely horrid. Okay, so basically you eat, say, maybe 11 a.m. till 7 p.m. So that is your hour. Yeah, that is your window of eating. You fill yourself up. You know, have your breakfast, lunch, dinner all in that time. Have your snacks, everything, and then from 7 p.m. until the following day, 11 a.m. you don't eat. Okay, some people do 12 till 8. I did 12 till 8. I thought it was a little bit more realistic for me.
Yep.
First lockdown, waking up, you know, going to sleep, back to sleep after Fajr, waking up later. So 12 o'clock just worked. And also I'm a late night snack kind of gal, so.
But isn't 8 like kind of early?
Yeah, but because that was the only time I could push it to.
all right. I'm sorry. I asked. Forget it. You know, for me, it's fine.
I didn't mean to scare you like that.
That was the only time I could do. Okay, I couldn't push it any further. I can't have a midnight snack. It's just not possible. What do you want from me? I was like
8 p.m. was the only time.
I won't ask again.
8 p.m. was the latest time that I can eat. So I pushed it to 8. It doesn't make sense if we're going to intimate and stop eating at 9. Okay, you've crossed the limit.
For me, I'm trying to think, maybe because I was like, okay, we fast all the time anyway in Ramadan, like we're used to this. So I'm thinking maybe if I just do like normal fasting and then I eat from, let's say Maghrib's around like 4:15 now, 4:20, something like that. So I'm saying maybe if I make my thing from like 4:30 to what would be, is that midnight 30? Yeah, 12:30 a.m. That can be my window of eating.
Wait, back up.
What
was your window of eating? 2:30 p.m.
No, 4:30.
4:30 p.m.
to 12:30 a.m.
No, but the point is that you're not supposed to eat before you go to sleep.
Is that the point?
No, the point is that you're.
So the point is just supposed to have 16.
Wait.
16
okay,
hours.
So you start eating at 4:30.
Yeah. I haven't done this yet. This is my plan. This is my plan
okay,
for
so
the
I'm
future.
already kind of dragging you down a little bit. I'm sorry.
What do you mean?
Okay, no, wait. Okay. I think the point of the intermittent fasting is that obviously you put on weight when you eat later into the evening because you're sleeping on that food, right? Whereas if you stop eating at 7 or 8, oh my gosh, that makes me laugh so much. Okay, right, Hafsa, when you stop eating at like 7 or 8, the rest of the evening, I think your body has time to kind of just digest and just relax, and then you kind of sleep in the evening. I don't know if you can do intermittent from 4:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m.
Listen, I think it's a great plan. I'm gonna have to look into it because right now I'm on the newbie thingy because I have this app and it starts you off as a newbie and then it puts you on at the end or whatever. I don't know. I'm just trying to be healthy. Okay.
I think maybe we should try and. I mean, I know you're trying. You know,
I think it's gonna start me off at. Wait, what am I saying now? I think it will start me off at.
Try and do during the day. Try and do 12:30 p.m.
Mine is 12 hours right now. Mine is 12 because I'm at the newbie stage, and then I go and extend it, and then it's like 13, 11, and then you extend it.
Oh, so your app is telling you that you can eat for 12 hours?
Yeah, for now. Before it was 16:8, then I was like, sorry, I can't do that. So I've changed it now, and it's 12:12. So yeah. We'll see what happens.
16:8 is good.
Because my friend was talking to me about epigenetics, which is this like very complicated way of, but I need to still research into it and I want to learn more about it. But essentially what she was trying to explain to me is that you have normal genes that you can pass on to people. But with epigenetics, it's that your genes are being altered by lifestyle changes you have in your life. And then those can then also be passed on to your kids. So for example, let's say, my genes, whatever's happening. And then I start having really bad diet and I don't exercise and maybe I'm super stressed. All those things can change my epigenetics in my body and I can then pass those on to my kids. So I was like, this is crazy that lifestyle changes that you have in your normal daily life from the moment that you're born to the moment that you pass away or whatever, those things can be altered by the changes that you're having on a day-to-day basis. But I need to research into more about it, but that's basically the gist.
Because I would want to know the age that all this happens, because obviously you're saying it's before
I think it's your whole life.
No, but if you're saying your genes change.
Yeah, but like obviously your genes is what you're passing on to your kids, isn't it?
Yeah, so so these could so your genes can kind of change. Wow.
Let me find a very basic definition of epigenetics, which that's
really interesting.
Explain, but it was really interesting.
I watched a new lifestyle and
short little TED talk on it.
Love a good TED talk.
Love a good TED talk. Epigenetics.
So if we change our diet and our lifestyle and become healthier humans now, we have a chance of our siblings,
kids inheriting those things, which is so weird. But it says that so essentially now that they're learning about epigenetics, the more they study about it, the more they'll be able to see the patterns of heart disease, stroke, all those things that you can develop in your life. Why are some people more likely to get it, and how you can have two twins and one of them can develop heart disease and the other person can be super healthy and not ever get it in their whole life, but aren't they supposed to have the same genes? So that's when it's going into epigenetics, and it's just so cool. But yeah, I'm so interested in it now. I want to learn everything about it.
Is this the buzz that a medic student gets?
Not a medic student,
sitting here literally just oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever.
Is it not? Is that not so exciting? It's like psychology stuff. When I learn about different things in psychology, different behavior types and personality types, I just get so excited because I think it's just the A-level psychology. I love
adrenaline.
This kind of stuff. I love learning about the way things change. It's just so cool. But you don't seem excited.
Oh, so now you have energy. Now you have energy for our podcast.
Epigenetics.
I think we should have started off with epigenetics to have this.
Yeah, this is the stuff that just.
Now you're moving. Okay, yeah, right now, that was interesting move that you just made.
An explanation of the buzzing energy.
Whoa! What was that?
There we go. This is just
okay. A lot of hand gestures.
How I feel in actions, because I can't really explain this.
Why did we not start the episode with all of this?
Epigenetics.
Okay, next episode.
In biology, epigenetics is the study of heritable phenotype changes that do not involve alterations in the DNA sequence. The Greek prefix epi in epigenetics implies features that are on top of, in addition to, the traditional genetic basis for inheritance.
I wasn't listening to what you were saying because I was looking at the recording thing.
So
I was looking
you
at
don't want me here.
No,
you don't value anything I say, is it? What's fine? It's okay.
I was actually just checking on the... Okay, I'm going to stop. Should I stop?
It's fine.
I'm going to stop talking.
It's okay. I'll read it again. No, I'll read it again for you. So, in biology... No. You want to hear it.
I think. Let's change the subject. Okay, guys, you know...
You seemed so excited before. Why do you hate on my biology facts right there?
It just makes me laugh that you get so excited about medic things.
But I, like...
No, it's fine. I wish I had that sort of adrenaline.
Do you like psychology?
Yeah, I studied psychology. I thought it was amazing.
No way. I didn't know you did psychology.
Yeah, I studied
for
psychology.
A-level?
Yeah, for A-level.
Stop.
Yeah.
So why didn't you have the same buzz that I do when I start talking about psychology? That is so weird. I didn't know you did psychology.
I didn't like my teacher. Well, I did, but I only liked one of my... We had two teachers, obviously, for different subjects. One of them was just... Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so shocked. I feel like I don't even know you now. How did I not know that you did psychology?
Should I reintroduce myself? Hey, I'm Zara.
I did A-level psychology.
I did A-level, and I am an A-level psychology alumni.
Yeah, stretched it.
Stretched it.
I'm so shocked right now. So, you know, you learnt about the Milgram experiment.
I'm smart. Hafsa's out here undermining my...
No, it's not even that.
Brain.
I did not picture you as a psychology student.
What did you think?
Because every psychology student I know talks about psychology all the time, and when it comes to like personality traits, they just get so excited, and everyone's just buzzing, and everyone talks. Every person.
No,
I know.
I loved it, but I also loved.
But in the whole year I've known you, you have never spoken to me about a psychology experiment.
I've never spoken to you about.
So, and when I talk about mine, you do not seem that interested. Like you don't be like, oh my God, I also learned that. I remember this experiment and that personality trait and this behavior type, and you just no. There's just no...
I loved sociology. I did sociology as well.
Okay.
You didn't know that, did you?
No. I thought you would have done something like media, marketing, English or something like that. I thought you were one of those students.
I did media.
How many A-levels did you get, girl? Stop.
No. I didn't do the...
Wait, what A-levels did you do?
Media, sociology and psychology. I loved them all. I think they were so good. If you are studying sociology right now in university, A-levels, whatever it is you're doing, you will find it extremely boring in the beginning. However, you will love it when it comes to the exam, because the exam is very interesting, because it talks about why people in society act the way they do. Like, why do they... Crowd behavior, why it's sociology and psychology is really nicely linked. So if you do both for A-levels, that's a really good choice. I'm still so shocked. Yeah, Milgram, all of it. I did it all. People are shocked in general that I did A-levels, and it makes me think, like, do I come across as someone...
No, not at all. No, not at all. I knew you did A-levels.
Save yourself from this conversation, so you have 30 seconds.
You did A-levels. I just kind of thought you would have done like media and English and all that kind of stuff, because you're a much more creative person than like a proper, like, you know, psychology. I like psychology
like
and
a
like
proper person. No. You're just more of a creative than a proper human intellect.
This is not what I'm saying. Do you know what? I'm just going to stop talking because you're not listening to what I'm saying. But like, I just thought you did media and English. Okay.
Yeah, no, I did want to do English. So it was a really funny story actually. So I went to my A-level, what's it called, like your sixth form open day, and I sat in the English class, which they so obviously you walk through, don't you, and you go and test out all the different subjects.
Yeah,
I went to test out English. Literally, I think my mum was with me, and I sat in the class, and then he said, you know, welcome to English. This will be your English class, and this is where you will study. And then he slapped in front of me a 32-page poem book. Okay. No, a 32-page poem, a singular poem, which was 32 pages, which was something that we were going to study. I walked out. I was like...
That escalated.
Are you serious? I thought English Lit was a lot different.
You thought English Lit was lit, but it wasn't.
I thought it was going to be lit.
I thought English Lit was going to be lit, but it just wasn't.
Maybe it is. Maybe people that do English Lit absolutely love it. We have friends that we know that do English Lit, so no hate to them, but no hate on the subject whatsoever, because I think it's amazing, and that's why I went to the open day, because I wanted to do it. But then I think I just got scared by the workload. It's very scary workload for English. A lot.
32 pages just set you off. You were just like, this is not for me.
I actually think, I'm pretty sure I just left. I think I got up, and then I had I genuinely was like, I can't do it.
But you know, the subjects that you chose are all A-level subjects. You know what I mean? You don't do those at GCSE level or like in like year 7, 8 or 9. So what were the subjects that you actually liked when you were in that time? Was English one of them?
English was definitely one of them. I loved writing. I loved analysing, and I still do to this day. I love analysing. You can put something in front of me, like a piece of text or whatever it may be, and I will just sit there and I could just tell you like, and I love that. I love knowing, you know, it sounds really odd, but you know, when they're like, oh, why do you think that this wall is purple? And I'm like, you know what? There's so many connotations as to why this wall is purple. I like doing
that was the
like
complete opposite for me. I was like, this
you
is
need
so
facts.
much waffle.
And you like facts.
Yeah.
You like not, you that's interesting because, you know, you're actually the opposite. You love facts.
Yeah, I like getting to
science,
solutions and like that's why for me maths was my thing. I just like getting to the end. I like me working towards something and knowing there's an answer and it's worth the effort.
I like
I've just
creating the answer.
Okay, there was always one of you in my class, and there was always one. Yeah, but no, this is so.
But there never is an answer, is there?
Yeah, I loved that. I used to love, you know, writing this whole long piece of essay writing, and then my teacher telling me there's no answer, but then why don't I have an A star in this paper that I've just given you? Because there is an answer, and I don't have it, unfortunately.
Remember when I told you that in the first lockdown I did my exam, right? I had an exam for my subject that I'm studying. I did exam for one of my modules.
Okay.
Sorry, I wasn't really rephrasing that right. I did an exam for one of my modules. There was the only module exam that was in lockdown because all the other ones weren't. They were all coursework based. And it was about kind of like, again, talking about why people agree with certain things. It was a very, very philosophical question, right?
Yeah.
And I spoke like literally a page was about, I wrote about the Qadr of Allah.
Yeah.
Remember I told
telling me this. Yeah,
I did that, and I thought, you know what? I didn't answer the question. I spoke about my own personal experiences. I showed off. And then he loved it. Like, he literally was like, yeah, that bit where you spoke about the Qadr of Allah. I didn't answer the question whatsoever. I literally just wrote how I felt. And he was like, yeah, that's the point. You've got to write how you feel. And yeah.
That's amazing.
Smashed it.
Write
about the Qadr of Allah in your essays.
Not every essay, you know, the scientific essays you might want to leave it out.
The ones where you can just kind of write and write. No, but I know, it's back to the A-level thing. I loved my A-levels, absolutely loved them. And I'm a psychology student, for your FYI.
I just did not get that vibe from you, but yeah.
You have to have a vibe now to know what A-level
There is a psychology vibe. It is called the hype vibe, where like every single thing about behavior just interests you. Like, why does that person do that? You know, that's the only time where I like the whys. Psychology is the only time where I like the fact that there's no answer and there's so many, you know, depths to behavior. And I just didn't get it from you, because usually when I speak about like a little, I don't know.
No, but when we spoke about SAD, that was from my A-level psychology.
You were talking. I thought you were still saying, did you learn about that in primary school? That's what I was like, no, I didn't. But like,
no, that is a good old A-level topic right there.
In our A-levels, I don't even think we did that. We did a lot of like stuff on like cloud behavior, personality types, high internal, locus of control, external. We did like a bunch of stuff on behavior, which was really fun. But no, we didn't cover the SAD.
Right. Well, let's wrap up our 4th episode with Hafsa completely undermining me. And us digging shovels.
Can I just redeem myself and say,
wait, no, not digging shovels. What's this phrase?
Digging holes
With the shovel. We really did do that today, didn't we?
What is that? That sounds so British. Digging holes with a shovel.
Well, I am British.
Oh my god, why do you keep No, you know what I mean.
Choose your words carefully.
Wow.
Basically,
I'm just saying it's such it sounds a very typical British phrase, but I've never heard of it before. Digging shovels.
Shovel, get the shovel, mate. Get the.
Yeah, I don't know what that
awful.
is.
Shovel, like as in, you got a hole, right? And you. I've given
just
you.
Never mind.
I've given you the shovel. No, trust me. Anyone listening will understand what I'm getting at. When someone has said something and then everything they say after is just, they're just making it really worse for themselves.
Isn't that just digging holes?
You're digging a hole, but it's like, you know what, here you go. Let me just hand you the shovel just to dig that hole more for you. That's what it is. Yeah, it's a very British phrase.
So it's like a longer winded version of digging yourself a hole.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's fine.
We're going to end with that very British phrase. And,
I hope that wasn't too much waffle. I feel like I had no energy and I was just not making much sense for like the first 40 minutes of this podcast.
It's okay,
so I sincerely apologize for all of that waffle. And I hope that you found some benefit of it and that you will research some epigenetics and some Milgram. And that's that. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.